Well, good morning and welcome to another episode of Nightscape Images. My name's Richard, and today I want to take you on a little bit of a behind the scenes journey. Now, it's the middle of the day, as you can see, but I want to show you some of the things I get up to on a typical day. I've been away on holiday and I feel quite refreshed. I'm actually itching to get back out under the stars. And on my holiday, I didn't really do much in the way of photography at all. A lot of you are going to say, well, how could you go on holidays and not do much in the way of photography? Look, to be honest with you, I just needed a break. I needed to refresh my batteries and recharge myself, and I feel like I've done that. So I'm back raring to go. But before I do that, there's a few things I have to get done, and today I'm going to take you along with me. So we're going to visit some people, go behind the scenes. I'm going to visit a few locations that I might want to shoot at again. So let's go and see what we can get up to. Come on. One of the things that I enjoy most about my nightscape photography is the amount of people that I meet. And part of what I'm doing today is I'm revisiting a few of the people that I've met along the way, predominantly landholders, people who I've inquired about shooting on their property. Now, a lot of you ask me about this very issue. How do I get permission? How do I get on private property to shoot things? It's really quite simple. All I do is go to the landholder, the property owner, the farmers, whoever it may be, knock on the door and just introduce myself and say what I'm doing and ask them if it's okay with them if I come and take photos of their equipment. And I would say, well, it's definitely true, never has anyone knocked me back. There have been the odd occasions where people have said, oh, what do you want to do that for? And they suss me out a little bit to work out my motives and my intentions. But once we chat and I show them some of my work, and I suppose they think, oh, he looks like a reasonable sort of a bloke, and they go, yeah, no worries at all. So one of the things I do, I always try to give them something, I guess as a thank you, and to say, well, I really appreciate the fact that you've let me do that. You've had faith in me to not steal anything, to not trample over their crops or anything else that might be there on their property. So what I do, I often go back and revisit these people, and that's one of the things I'm doing today. So I'm just pulling up here at one of the locations, and one of the things that I've got to give these folks, let me just stop the car here, is, and here we go, my 2020 Nightscape Calendar. Now, I don't know if you can see that properly. I produce these calendars every year, and it's just a small token of my appreciation for the fact that they've let me on their property. And oftentimes I'll revisit these properties and shoot the same thing over again. So I guess it's just a small thing that I can do to say thank you to the landholders. So let's do it. It is real,
Well, of course it is real.
Yeah. So what do you think? That's a picture of it. I better keep going. I really appreciate your help, and I will move on, and I'll see you next time. And anytime you need anything, you let me know. All right?
Thank you very much.
Thank you. See you later. Okay, well, that was Lorna, a lovely lady who's helped me a lot in my trying to track down landholders in this particular district. So I drop a calendar into her every year, and she very much appreciates the visit. Normally puts a cup of tea and a biscuit on for me. Today I'm in a bit of a hurry, so we didn't have time for that. But in the meantime, I'm just going to show you a couple of spots just in that district that she has showed me, and I've shot lots of images at these locations. I'd like to share those with you. Alrighty, well I've just pulled into one of my favourite little towns, little town of Molden, which is a country town with some great coffee shops. You know me, I've got to grab my coffee, so I'm on my way somewhere else. In the meantime, let's go and see what I can find. Oh wow, isn't this just the life? I've got my coffee, got my Snickers bar. What else do you need? I found this chair out here, sun's shining. What an absolutely beautiful spot to be. Fantastic. Alrighty, well, just on my way over to my next meeting down there, I thought I'd drop by here because it's on the road. This is an old school. Now, I've been here before, but I've never shot this location because it was facing the wrong direction for the last time I was here. I'm hoping now that I'm going to take the advantage of having a look, but I'm hoping that a westerly perspective is open to me. So, I'll quickly have a look and see if I can get a shot that way. So, let's go. Alright, so as you can see, this is the Barringup West State School, and it's pretty old. In a fair bit of disrepair at the moment, so let's go and have a bit of a look. Alright, well here it is in the background, you can see there, and the camera angle here is facing towards the southwest, and that's where the Milky Way core is going to set straight over the top of this old school. So that's fine. I think it'll light paint quite well. I love the brick work and the old timber work, etc. And the core is going to be right over the top of that. However, there is one thing I really do not like about this perspective, and you can see it there on the far right-hand side. There's an electric light pole. As ugly as sin. I hate photoshopping those things out. Some of you might say, that's a piece of cake, it's really easy. Well, maybe it is, but I just don't like them. It just wrecks the whole scene. And yeah, sure, I'll be able to get rid of it, but I wish it wasn't there. Now, the other thing I like about this particular subject matter is it's got a really clear perspective towards the south. What does that mean? It means I'm going to get some gorgeous star trails around the top of the building. And I really like that dead tree. You can probably just see over on the left-hand side of the frame. Love that. And I think it'll look pretty good. Normally with star trails, I try to offset the camera a little bit, so the center of the south celestial pole isn't necessarily right in the center of the frame. So there's enough width around here to give me enough latitude to do that. So yeah, and light painting, I think it'll look pretty good. Now I hope you can see this. There's a beautiful rustic old fence post. This is the sort of thing I love shooting under a night sky. And the reason I'm pointing this one out in particular is because it's got this gorgeous canola crop behind it. And that could make a pretty good subject as well. Now, again, I'm facing towards the south, southwest. So the Milky Way core is going to come down over the top of this paddock here. So that's another subject matter. When I come back here, hopefully the crop is still in bloom and there's a bit of light that I can put on the crop. But yeah, the fence post itself, absolutely gorgeous. Now I just had to drop into this location, driving past here on my way down the road there further to visit somebody else. Now you'll see this windmill and tank behind me. I've shot here before and you know that. But the reason I had to stop here is because of this beautiful display of canola in the paddock behind me. It just looks absolutely awesome. And so I guess that leads me to think about revisiting locations to shoot. And that's partly what this video is about. And you know, the last time I was here, and it was only probably a couple of months ago, this crop was probably about this high. I didn't even know what type of crop it was, not being a farmer myself. But it is so beautiful. And that is in relation to the road here and in relation to where the windmill is. It's facing in an easterly direction. So unfortunately, at this time of year, the Milky Way is not over in the east, it's over in the west. Now there is a canola crop in that paddock over across the road there, which would be great. I can shoot across that way, but the windmill's over here. And as you know, I love to incorporate these foreground subject matter into my shots. So maybe I could still shoot towards the east and just get normal stars. Maybe I could shoot a star trail or something else. But whatever I do, I could still shoot something here. And this looks like an absolutely beautiful scene. In Australia here at this time of year, it's the end of September. The canola crops are absolutely stunning. And you'll find lots of people shooting them day or night. Well, anyway, I guess I get lulled into having a look at these beautiful spots every time I drive past here. But you know, I'm actually on my way to visit a friend of mine, Tony, down the road here, who's very kindly let me shoot on his property a number of times. So let's go down there and see what's going on. Now, I'm just about to go into Tony's farm up here, and he's got a lot of property around here, runs trucks and all sorts of things. One of the occasions where he let me shoot on his property was an old gold mine. Now, you may remember, quite a few months ago, I did sort of a nightscape image or astro review on the Nikon Z6. And so one of the shots I took, I got a print done, and there it is there. I hope you can see that coming out of the bit of a reflection, but anyway, and I'm just going to drop that into him and say thanks very much. I'm a little bit belatedly late with this because it was quite a few months ago, but I do that quite frequently. Why do I do that? Just to say thank you. I mean, these guys put themselves out. They trust me to come here in the middle of the night, make sure all the gates are shut and all the locks are locked again, not to take anything away, because a lot of these fellas tell me that people come in the middle of the night and they steal things from their property. So if I didn't go and ask permission to go in there, they could see some torchlights and so forth going down there and think I'm one of those people stealing stuff from them. I don't want to be that. I want them to know that I'm there, and as a thank you, I'll give them a calendar and a print. So let's go and see him. All right, well, I've got to chase him up because he wasn't back at the house. I've come down to the shearing shed. There's a heap of sheep down here. A couple of motorbikes, so I'll see if I can find him down here. Let's see how we go. Okay, well, what an absolute bonus this is. Just been talking to Tony up there and his son Cam, and they've put me onto this other property, which is just down the road. They actually own this property, and so it's called Woodlands, and here I am. They've given me the key to the gate to come and have a look. Now, that's what happens, you know. I've just given him a calendar and a picture up there, which I was going to give him anyway, and he said, oh, you want to have a look at that place down the road? So here I am. So come on, going to have a look right now. All right, well, have a look at this beauty. This old ruin sitting here up on top of the hill. It's got an absolutely fantastic perspective down facing towards the east. But currently we are looking in pretty much a southwesterly direction. Now, it's now September, and here in Australia, in the southern hemisphere, the Milky Way core stretches right across in the southwestern sky. So from this angle, pretty much down here where the camera is, I'll get a shot of the front of this house with the Milky Way stretching overhead. And I reckon that'll be an absolute ripper. All right, there's a few other buildings and little things around here. I'm just going to go and have a look and see what else I can find. All right, well, here's another beautiful old tank, an old gold mining boiler, I would say, and the farmers use them for water tanks. Sitting down here up on a heap of logs, it's in a fairly difficult position because there's so many trees around here, but there's definitely a perspective to the east, and that would suit when the Milky Way core is coming up in that eastern sky. Unfortunately, that's not at this time of year, it's a different time, but there is a possibility I can get on the other side facing towards the west. That means the Milky Way core will be there okay, but I've got to negotiate a couple of big trees which are over on this side. But, you know, I've learnt not to ever give up on a shot like that because you just don't know what you can get with it. All right, so as you can see here, there's another old rundown stone outbuilding that's facing, right here we're facing straight into the southwestern sky. So I will get the Milky Way core stretching over the top of this building. So it's just a matter of working out how to light it to make it look its best. But that's the challenge. That's why we come to places like this, just to have a look at all the old junk that's laying around and see what we can do with it. Well, to be honest, I don't really know how to explain what I've got here. It's just junk. There's stuff everywhere, but you know, I love junk. There's an old sewing machine here on this table. I don't know what that is. There's a headlight. That's a headlight off a car of some sort. It's old, whatever it is. And we've got a little wheel here. Look at that. What an absolute ripper. Metal, junk. Wow. I wonder what I could do with this. Well, I was going to say hidden gems. Most people would call it junk. But I don't think I want to call it junk. I like this stuff. And you know, this old tank, which is covered by a fence wire, there's an old gate here, another drum over there, and in the background, I don't know if you can see that, there's a wheel off an old machine, a spoked wheel, all steel. Now, again, this is facing the exact right direction to get the Milky Way through that gap between the trees over here. And I think this could work quite well because it's clear down there to the horizon. And this would actually be an ideal candidate for one of those shots where there's multi-layers and depth in our image. And as far as light painting goes, it presents a little bit of an opportunity, I guess, to light the foreground, which is quite close to the camera, perhaps a tree in the background, which is a little bit further back, and then the stars, of course, at infinity. And that's a bit of a project that I'll be working on in the future, but this could be a good candidate for that. Love it. Now, just looking at this wheel, I reckon it presents an opportunity just by itself to be a good foreground subject for a nightscape. As I said, it's facing the right direction. There's a nice clear sky behind it. Yes, there is a bit of junk in the background, but I've got two options there. One, I highlight the junk in the background and give it a little bit of depth, or I don't highlight it and I leave it all just black and make sure my highlighting is just on the wheel itself. A few opportunities, and maybe when I'm here during the night time, I can just do both or just work out what I think looks best. Just having options is the key though. Okay, well, here's another one. This looks like an old plough sitting here really low to the ground, which always makes it pretty difficult. There are trees behind, but again, it's facing the right direction. I've just checked my Photo Pills app, and facing towards the southwest, again, we've got that Milky Way core, which is going to set over the top. Now, a lot of people, and including me in years gone by, would have walked past this because we think it's too low. How do we shoot this and make the sky behind it look good? Now, the key is to get the camera angle down low. I've been telling you this for many, many years now. And the lower the camera is, the more this small, low object will stand out into the horizon, even though there are trees behind. So when I come back here, this will be on my list of shots. Oh, wow. Have a look at this. Now, I must admit, again, on face value, this looks like a fairly difficult subject to shoot, only because there's a tree pretty much growing right behind it, covering a big proportion of the night sky. So what do you do when you approach something like this? Well, I'm looking at it with my eyes wide open, thinking, okay, the core is behind that, and a lot of it will be behind that tree, but the foreground subject is just so good, I don't think you can not shoot it. So when I come back, I'll give this a lot of consideration. I absolutely love the roof in here. It's like a thatched roof held up with all these timber beams. So I think it'll light up pretty well. And there's all this old wire, barbed wire, rolled up into rolls down here. This is my kind of junk. Love it. Well, as you can see, we've got around to quite a few locations today. And as I mentioned in the beginning of this video, part of the reason for doing that is to revisit some locations that I've shot before. And I want to do that because things change. Not only does the night sky change from month to month, there's different stars in different places, but the landscape changes as well. And I've showed you the canola crops, which look absolutely gorgeous in the springtime, but other times of the year, there isn't any canola crops at all. There's just grass and sometimes nothing. It's pretty dry here in the summer. So that's a good reason to get back. Another good reason to get back and shoot locations you've been before is to try some new techniques. Try something that we haven't done before, and particularly things like light painting, different exposures, different things like stacking for noise reduction. There's a lot of reasons to shoot things we've done before. And another good reason is that we actually know how to find the location because we've been there before. So all of those things combined make it worthwhile. And of course, then there's the added bonus of exploring and finding new locations like this absolute ripper here. And of course, had I not been to see Tony today with that calendar and that print that I had for him, I wouldn't have been able to access this property. This is what happens all the time. People love to share their stuff, but they will only share it with people that they trust. So it's really important. So thank you. Really, I do appreciate the fact that you've tuned in once again. I've been away on holiday, as I said. I'm refreshed. I'm really keen to get back out under the stars, and I reckon this will probably be one of the first places I come to. Looking for a clear night. It's cloudy at the moment. I think it's going to be cloudy for a couple of days, but let's see what we can come up with. Anyway, any comments you have about what we've talked about today, happy to chat with you down in the comments down below. If you want to subscribe to the channel, love to have you on board. All right, until the next time, I'll see you guys under the stars soon.